to discuss when a function is given like this x square plus 4x plus 13. We are going to convert this one into two manners. We can make it as like this x plus b whole square plus c. Likewise, we can write it is the c, it can be either positive or negative, and we can make it as negative into x plus b whole square plus c. These are the only two possibilities to make this function. Since the coefficient of x square is positive, it is suitable to make this one into this form. What we are doing is the normal given function for y is this one. Y is equals to x square plus 4x plus 13. But when we need to find the parameters of whether it is a positive curve or negative curve, the graph nature, axis of symmetry, turning point, and the maximum or minimum point. To find them, you have to make the particular function into any of these two methods. Any of these two methods. Likewise, since the extra coefficient is positive, we can make it like this. That's what we are going to discuss. How to make the given function in normal manner to square manner. To make that one, write the x square value first. X square. If the x square coefficient is 1, it's really simple. Our work is almost half done until now. Okay. If the coefficient is other values, it is little complex one. If the coefficient is positive 1, you can write it plus 4x plus 4x. Write the 4x as well. Thereafter, you cannot write the 13 itself here. You need to find one more thing, half of x coefficient. Half of x coefficient. That's what you need to find. Half of x coefficient and its square. And its square. Half of x coefficient and its square. That is the third one you need to add with this. So half of means multiplication of x coefficient. Here x coefficient is positive 4. 4 and its square. We can simplify 2 and 4. It will give you number 2. 1 times 2, 2. 2 square. It is 4. Okay, it is 4. With this, with these two, you need to add number 4 here. You need to add number 4 here. Since it is an equation, we cannot add a number in this equation directly. You have added this number, and to nullify that, you have to subtract this as well. You have to subtract number 4 as well. First, you need to add number 4. I'll explain why we are adding this number 4. And in an equation, we cannot introduce a third party value to it. So, to add and subtract to nullify that. And after that, you are having the constant in this function as well. Positive 13, that will be here as well. What I did, since the coefficient of x square is 1, our work is little simple. You can write that one and write the x value. And third, you need to find half of x coefficient square. Half of x coefficient square. Half of 4 square. So 2 square would be 4. I added and subtracted to make it as a equilibrium. Then think about these three values. Think about these three values. We can write these three values as x plus 2 whole square. X plus 2 whole square. This is the quadratic equation, quadratic function. So we can express this one as x square plus 4x. 4 can be indicated as 2 square. X plus 2 whole square. Then this negative 4 and positive 13, it will become positive 9. Positive 9. This is the way a normal given value, normal given quadratic function can be expressed in square manner. After writing this one in square manner, you can identify the nature of the graph. How to find the nature? Let's come to that one. Nature of the graph, it would be, when you expand this function, you will have coefficient of x square as a positive value. So it would be a minimum graph. It would be a minimum graph like this. And next we need to find um, turning point. Okay, turning point. The coordinates of turning point to find that x plus b whole square plus c. In this format, if the value is b, to find the coordinate of turning point, you have to make the opposite direction. Negative b comma c. That would be the coordinates of the turning point. Here it is having a positive 2. So to write the turning point, to write that one, you can make it as an opposite direction. It is positive 2, it will become negative 2. This c value doesn't change. It is positive 9 means we can directly write it as positive 9 itself. Thirdly, you need to find what is the since it is a minimum point, we can find y minimum point of this function. Y minimum would be its y value. What would it be? It is 9. Directly we can write it as y minimum as c. Since the c value is 9, it should be 9. Then axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. It should be also easy. X should be equal to the turning point's x value. X is equal to negative 2. At that point only we can draw axis of symmetry for this minimum parabola. So this is the way a normally given function should be converted as a star and another constant likewise, and by looking at that we can determine nature, turning point coordinates, y minimum or maximum, and axis of symmetry from here. The addition of this one is really important. You can write if the x square coefficient is positive 1, you can write it, and x coefficient you can write it as well, and half of x coefficient square, that is the third party one you need to add to nullify that you to subtract and keep the constant itself. After simplification you can make it like this common form, and you can analyze the data. So in the question initially you can write the coefficient of x square is already positive 1, so you can directly write it as the coefficient of x as well. Thereafter we need to add the third constant. For that, half of x coefficient square. Half of x coefficient is 10. 8 square. Half of x coefficient square. Half of 10, it would be 5. So 5 square is 25. 5 square is 25. With this, you need to add 25. To nullify that, you can subtract 25 as well. Just keep the number 3 itself. That's all. Thereafter, look at these three: x square plus 10x plus 25. It is a square function. We can write it as x plus 5 whole square, and negative 25 plus 3, it would be negative 22. Then let's find the types. First, nature of the graph. It would be, since the coefficient of x square is positive value, it is a minimum graph. It would be a minimum graph like this. And thereafter, coordinates of the turning point. Negative of inside the square you are having a number, no, its opposite direction. So negative 5, and the c itself. Since c is a negative number, you can keep it as negative 22 itself. No need to convert that one. You need to convert only inside the square function you are having a number, no, it's negative, to be our in our turning point. Then let's write y minimum. Minimum graph, no. So y minimum would be this one, negative 22. And axis of symmetry, it would be x equals to negative 5. Negative 5. By this, we can predict the graph type as well. You know the nature and minimum, maximum turning point, everything. By looking at that, looking at these details, we can predict the graph shape as well. What would be the shape and orientation and characteristics of the graph. Now let's discuss the question with y equals to negative x jar minus 6x plus 3. Okay. This is the function. First of all, what you need to do is just keep this constant outside because we no need to bother with the constant. What you need to do is you need to concern about square value and x value. We need their coefficients only. No, since both are having negative, you cannot make the square with the negative number. Negative x square, it does not have any squaring factor. So you need to make negative as a common factor in these two terms only. No need to bother about this external one, just keep it outside. In these two, you have to take negative as a common factor. It will become x square minus and minus as a common factor. You will have positive 6x. This plus 3 remains same. Now look at this internal function. Don't worry about this one because we discussed the second type of factorization. You can make it as negative x plus b whole square plus c. This is the type, the second type. Previously we discussed the previous two questions are about type 1. This is about type 2. So here also to make this one as a square, what you need to do is just keep it negative x square plus 6x. You need to add and subtract some values. No, for that, what we need to do is just write coefficient of half of coefficient of x 6 is positive, positive 6. If it is a negative value, you need to incorporate with the negative as well. It is a positive value. It's yeah. So 2 and simplified 3. 3 square would be, it is 9. It is positive 9. So with this, inside this one, I am going to add positive 9 and subtract 9 as well. I'm going to add 9 and subtract 9. What I did is really simple. Don't make it as a complicated one. Keep the constant as a constant itself. You need to bring negative x as a common factor. Here we know that it is an obvious one. X is not having a positive one. So you need to make this one to the second type only. That is the one and only possibility. You can make negative as a common factor and thereafter find the constant and add and subtract. This positive 3 remains same itself. Now negative in here, these three values, look at these three values, x square, positive 6x and 9. 9, it can be expressed as 3, 3 square. So we can write this one as x plus 3 whole square, x plus 3 whole square. And this negative 9 multiplied with the common factor negative. Here there is common factor negative. No? This common factor negative should be multiplied with the remaining negative 9. It will become positive 9. And there is a 3 as well. There is a 3 as well. I'll repeat it again. I just added 9 and subtracted 9. X square plus 6x plus 9. It will become x plus 3 whole square. 9 is a 3 square and accordingly we can write the quadratic expression like this. Quadratic function as x plus 3 whole square. After finding these three, it is having a common factor negative already. We can keep it. This negative should be multiplied with the negative 9 to expand that because you cannot write the negative 9 itself because it is having another negative common factor no, externally. So you have to think about that one as well. So negative into negative, positive 9 and positive 3. Hereafter, I can write it as x plus 3 whole square. 9 plus 3 would be 12. Yes. We got this type of form. We just make the question to this type of form. Thereafter, we can analyze the details. Nature of the graph would be, since the coefficient of x square When you expand, it will give you a negative number. It should be a maximum graph. It would be a maximum graph. Thereafter, coordinates of the turning point. Opposite direction of the number near to x. Since it is a positive one, its opposite direction would be negative 3, 12. This is the coordinates of turning point. Thereafter, maximum of y, it is 12. It should be 12. Then, axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. It would be like this. X equals to negative 3. That's all for the question. Here only additional thing what we did in this question. By observing this, it is having a negative number. We cannot factorize the negative star. Like for that only, I just brought the negative as a common factor in the x correlated value. We can keep the constant as it. Thereafter, just addition process. Half of x coefficients are added, subtracted, and these three became like this. It is having a common negative as well. And after factorizing this, there is another negative 9 inside the bracket. You need to expand that with the negative. Negative into negative positive 9 plus 3. It should be in this format. Thereafter, you can find the nature, turning point coordinates of turning point, and y maximum and axis of symmetry. You can write them.